Welcome to the new season of the Live Your Spa Life show. The Spa and Spa Life stands for Seek Power Always, that divine power within you to do what you're here to do. The theme for this season is intentional living. Amazing people like you share ways to live by design and with purpose to ensure that this short ride of life occurs with choice, physically, financially, spiritually, and in your relationships to create a world-class life. In these times of uncertainty, it's time for you to move past the distractions and start trusting yourself more through your God-giving knowingness. No one truly knows better what's best for you than you. In this season, you'll have plenty of examples of people choosing their best life and creating a positive impact through intentional living. Thank you for sharing your precious time with us and being part of the Live Your Spa Life conversation. With us today is Kelley Tyan, a proud wife and mother of her two children, a breast cancer survivor, and a four-time national bikini champion. She's a motivational speaker, a top-rated podcaster, a sought-after transformational coach for women in health, faith, mindset, and personal development. Her podcast has the same title as her book, Addicted to the Climb. With over 20 years of experience, she has inspired and empowered countless women to break through barriers, overcome challenges, and achieve their wildest dreams. Kelley has been featured on numerous media outlets, including Chronicle, ABC, Oxygen, Thrive Journal for Women, and Link to Us magazine. Her signature mastermind program, speaking engagements, and exclusive membership program are designed to help women cultivate a strong sense of self by activating their faith, fostering an engaging community, and creating a life of purpose and fulfillment. Kelley, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm so honored to be here today.
Thank you. Well, let's just jump in. What is the climb to you?
Ooh, loaded question. The climb is really the foundation of being addicted to the climb is my faith. My faith is everything to me. And I just believe life is a climb. And if we don't have faith, not only in God, so for me, my faith first comes in God, but also having faith in ourselves that we can climb to new heights every single day if we just believe in ourselves enough. And so the climb is never ending. It's all about the journey that we're on in life and the willingness to never give up on ourselves. And I'm addicted.
I love it. Has your faith always been strong? Has there been like some weaving pathways there? And you know, in moving through that path, how is it that faith has become your foundation today?
So I did grow up in a Christian home, but as a little girl, I had to learn on my own. I did watch my mom, who always had a Bible in her hand. So she really was an example of what faith was to me. But, you know, as a kid, you go through your teenage years and into college, and I did have to find my faith again on my own. And as I started going through real life situations as an adult, meaning I went through breast cancer, I went through grief, I've been fired, all the things that a lot of us similarly have gone through. I learned to just, faith can be my rock to help me wake up in the morning, to get me through. So the more I leaned into deepening my own faith, activating my own faith, the more I had trust in God and in myself to, again, keep climbing. So yes, I've always been faithful, but it has definitely gotten stronger over the years and through just trauma that I've been through in my life. It's the only thing I can really say that wakes me up in the morning when I go through something really hard.
Right. Well, you know, and that's one of the things, like, you know, when people like listen to the show, a lot of times they go, "Oh, look at Kelley, she's so successful." And, you know, it seems like they all have it all together. And I always like to show a glimpse of, you know, what are some of the challenging things? What are some of the things that were just kind of tested you to the limit as you were moving through to that place of empowerment?
Well, number one, a rock bottom moment for me was going through breast cancer. So I was opening up a fitness business back in 2008, 2009, very excited about leading my community, women in my community, to get healthy and strong. 2 months before the door opened, I got the call, Kelley, you have cancer. And here I was going to be this fitness expert in my community, to hearing those words that really rocked my world. And I did go into a pity party, of course. I mean, I'm normal. I'm human. Like you said, it's not all glitz and glam all the time and empowerment, but I did lean on my faith. I said, I'm going to show up for these women no matter what. I'm going to go through my treatment no matter what. I'm going to be an example to them that if I can wake up every morning at 4:30 in the morning, they can too. And I just took on that mindset that nothing will stop me. I didn't want to stay in the pity party. And I think for many of us, we all have a choice when we're faced with things in life. Are we going to move forward? Or are we going to stay? Or are we going to seep backwards into a spiral? So throughout, that was one event that I've been through. I lost my mom. I was an only child. I mean, grief, that was another rock bottom moment. And it's really about picking yourself back up and just climbing and climbing, no matter how hard it seems. So for me, I'm all about, it's a mentality that I took on, to be honest, over the years, that I want to choose courage. I want to choose strength. I want to choose to be disciplined in those areas. So when life throws the curveballs, I'm not going to crumble. I want to just keep moving forward. And that's a choice that we all get to make, because nobody gets through life on easy street. As you know, from speaking to so many people and yourself, life is hard. Life is a climb, but we have to just keep our eyes focused on the goodness that can lie ahead. It's all about having hope, faith, whatever that looks like for you, and trust that things will work out. And that's the mindset that I've taken on. It's taken me a long time to get here, but I think the more we do things on repetition, good or bad, that's the way our life will go. So the more you tell yourself, I am courageous, I am capable, I will get through this, the more you start convincing yourself of those things. It takes time, but trust me, if I'm where I am today, anybody else can do it. I know that for a fact.
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes it's like it's so much easier to walk in faith when things are going well, but when you're in that place where you're flat on your back and you're like, that questioning, like, why me, God? What's happening here? Or I just weathered one thing and now this, and like all the different things, going on, especially, in just the world the last, couple years, people have been challenged in so many different ways. So like when you're kind of in that place of being knocked down, what's kind of like the first thing that you reach for that starts having you climb back up?
Honestly, it's my Bible. I have to say, I wake up, I read, I really just want to take in God's word and his promises, knowing that everything will work out in his timing. Because a lot of times when we go through things, we definitely don't know the outcomes of anything in our lives.
Mhm.
So that's where I have my trust in him. And I just feel his presence and the peace we're all going after. We want to feel peace in our lives. And for me to feel a peace, magnitude of peace that circles my life, it's really from the word in the Bible and my prayer time spent with him. That's the only way I really can empower myself to get up and take a step forward.
So good. A lot of times people think of like their relationship with God as being part of like something like on Sunday or in their personal life, but you really advocate to have faith and prayer as part of all aspects of your life. In fact, I've seen you wear a T-shirt saying that prayer is included in your business plan. How have you done that, and how do you help people really look at it being a totality of their life?
Oh my gosh, I love that. I do wear that shirt all the time for reminding myself that prayer is part of my business plan. And I teach women because in our own humanness, we're weak. We really are. And I know that for me, when I plug into God's supernatural strength, it's almost like I feel I have a fire ignites inside me, and I see it in my clients as well. When we try to do things on our own, it's hard. It really is. It can be hard if unless you're super, super strong, which most of us in our humanness, we have feelings and emotions and they flutter and they're high and low. And so when I plug into God, it's almost like he infuses me with his strength. And that's how I can get through. That's how I can become stronger. So I am weak. I mess up. I do fall apart. I do fail. But when I really plug in and invite my clients to do the same, I see the transformation that takes place. It's just more peace. It's still going to be hard. The climb is always, it's never easy, but you can get through when you invite him in. You'll feel the peace. You'll feel the joy differently than when you try to do things on your own. That's my experience.
Yeah, absolutely. I know that one of the things that you do for your people is really igniting that strength and courage and there's that faith within them and saying that it already exists within them. So for people who haven't experienced or seen that yet, right? They haven't uncovered that yet. How do you have them help kind of look at that process and see that it's not that they're broken or that, it's something outside of there, that it actually already exists within them?
Absolutely. God created all of us with special gifts and skills and beauty that we all have. I mean, we're made in God's image. That's a beautiful thing to know and to realize. And once you, so I do exactly what you said. I like to show, because I work with a lot of women. So I've been working with women since 2008, and I really try to let them see themselves. Now, men too, if men are listening, this is for you and women, but I want you to see yourself the way God sees you, even your earthly father. I mean, or your parents, if you are lucky enough and blessed enough to have a parent that you love and honor, your parent is there to guide you, to lead you, to tell you it's going to be okay. Get back up again. Well, think of our Heavenly Father. That's the way he looks at us. He made us perfectly in his image and wants us to thrive, doesn't want us to sit in our suffering. So I encourage people, if they're just new to faith, if they're just starting off, it all starts with a conversation with God. He's not too far away. He's right next to you. And it's a simple prayer, the way you would talk to your earthly parent. Like, I don't know what to say. I don't know what I'm doing. I just need some help. I need some guidance. I need some intervention. Whatever it is that you're searching for, all starts with a simple conversation that you would have with a best friend.
I love it, and I love your mission, about reaching and transforming one woman a day. If that one woman for you today was listening, what would you tell her?
I would tell her that she has what it takes, that we get to choose courage over fear, and it's time to stand up and show up for yourself differently right now in this present moment than you did yesterday. All it takes is one step in one belief, one new belief in yourself that you're capable of doing great things.
Love it. You've spoken about thinking like you are God's girl. What's that look like?
Oh, I love that. It's just kind of what I just was touching upon, that we're all God's girls and boys, and we're in his kingdom together. And when we come together, we can rise higher together. So I believe we all, again, have special gifts and talents inside us. That's what makes us all unique. So it's time to shine your light. Be the light that somebody else needs. And you just don't know who's watching you. So I am just encouraging you, take that on. I am God's girl. I can shine brightly. I am God's guy. I can shine brightly. And because that's what this life is all about. It's all about being a light for other people, so they know that they're not alone. No, I, I always say nobody succeeds alone. Nobody wants to walk alone in this life. So if you can be a light to someone else, take that opportunity, speak life into people. That's what real living and fulfillment is all about.
Yeah. Oh, so good. I just, it's so warming to be able to, because I think so many people feel alone. And I think that just with all the things happening in the world, it can feel, overwhelming, and to know that you can turn to God, that you have this walk where we aren't alone. And I think that's where we start seeing high rates of suicide and depression, is because people have isolated themselves and they don't realize that they can create support with God, support in community, reach out to people who can, really show them that they are made for bigger things, and they here for those kind of things. And in that, we get to create, even in our personal space, like, what are the things that support us? So one of the things I always like to ask my guests is that we live differently in our bedroom versus our kitchen or our office. What's your favorite room in your home, and why?
Ooh, I love that question. No one's ever asked me. So I do have a personal space in my home that I've made it my little prayer room, and it's got glitz. I'm all about glitz and mirrored pieces in there, and it's very girly. And that's where I go every single morning. I start my day in there with my coffee. It's a very quiet and peaceful. There's windows, and I do my Bible reading. I always have about 5 books going at once on personal development, anything from John Maxwell to habits, atomic habits. And I just love spending my quiet time in that room in my house. And my family knows it. Oh, mom's in her room. Don't bother her. So great question.
Love it. So in your book, Addicted to the Climb, you share 30 personal stories. What's one of your favorite?
Oh my gosh, I have so many favorites. I guess I would say the book is dedicated to my mom. Again, I was only child. She was my best friend in the world, and she was just an overcomer. She was a true example of a light for other people, but she suffered with rheumatoid arthritis from the moment I was born. So one of the stories is when I was in 6th grade. It's all about her living with a halo cast. And that means she lived for about 6 months with nails in her head, in the front, in the back, and it looked like she was in jail. And I was only in 6th grade. But the power in that story today in my life, when I think back on what she went through, she had a smile on her face. She had faith that was just so massive. She knew she was going to be okay. So that's one of the most powerful stories in my book, of perseverance and just faith faith as small as a mustard seed can get you through life. And that my mom was just a beautiful example of that. So I just cherish that she lived her life that way to show me that nothing can get me down. I'm always going to climb higher. I'm always going to climb out of my situations. But it's really, if it is to be, it is up to me to make those steps. So I'm so thankful for her in being that example.
So good. So speaking of perseverance, I love that your relationship with your husband Tony. I love you guys did this kind of like car karaoke. When you guys were driving to the diner, having just this whole conversation. And I love how he mentioned about effort. And it's like, I'd love for you to share just a little bit about just relationship and commitment, because we're kind of in a time in society where it's easy to just like walk away from things, and
Oh,
to be able to have that sustainability and to work through hard things. And I love how you don't talk about this like Pollyanna, and especially talking about like the first 7 years of your relationship where things are hard and that you're very different people. How is it, as different people committed to being together, that you walk that walk?
oh my gosh. So yes, it was so hard in the beginning because men are from Mars, women are from Venus, as we all know, right? And it is, I tell my daughter, we have a 24-year-old. I'm like, listen, sometimes you're speaking English and you think they're speaking Japanese. Maybe you don't understand Japanese, but when you come together in marriage, it can be really difficult. And we had a difficult 7 years, but we made a commitment to each other, which is such a blessing that no matter what, we are going to work this thing out. And to this day, we have just decided as a couple, as a team, that our marriage is of the utmost importance under our faith. So it goes faith, marriage, then our children. Now, you might that might throw you off and say, what? My kids are first. But for us, we decided that if once our kids are gone, they're only here for whatever, 18 years of their life. And then what? What are we going to do if we put the kids above our marriage? So we really put a lot of emphasis on our relationship, how we can be co-partners together, a team. And of course, it's not perfect. You know, we have our times, but at the end of the day, it comes down to just always saying sorry. There's a few things that we really focus on because relationships are hard, but saying sorry, even when you don't feel like, or putting your arm around the other person, even when you don't feel like, can really just dissolve all hard feelings and not going to bed angry. And we really just, again, put the work in with each other. Our relationship is something we're so proud of. Our marriage is something we're so proud of. And it didn't happen easily. It took a lot of work, just like in your jobs, just like in your business. If you don't focus, whatever you focus on is going to magnify. So if you're just focused on your job or what you're doing in your own personal life and you're putting your partner to the side in second, well, that might suffer a little bit. And I don't know if I believe in the word balance because balance is just thrown around a lot, but marriage is a priority. And I believe whatever we make priorities in our life will flourish. And that was one thing we both decided we wanted to flourish in. Thank you for talking about my marriage. I love that.
So good. Well, I know a lot of times people in marriage, like there are certain things like people talk about having like compromise, but if people like believe something totally different, like for instance, like finances, like if you've got one person who's a saver and the other person's a spender, what are some of the ways that, and I'm sure, whether it's in your own relationship or people that you work with where you've come up against this, where you're on such polar opposite sides, how do you help people kind of work towards that?
That's a great question too, because really there's one thing that is the answer. It's communication. I think a lot of times if I'm a saver and he's a spender, but yet we're just getting mad internally and we're not communicating how we feel over and over, it all comes down to how are you communicating to each other? Sitting down, having a meeting, a family meeting about things that are important to you might not be as important to the other person, and coming to an agreement and conclusions together. It might not go your way 100% or his way 100%, but you can come together and say, let's try it this way together. And that's in all areas of life, business and relationships at work. It's all about people don't like to communicate. I think people hold back how they feel, then it festers inside, then there's blowouts, and that's normal. I understand that because sometimes we don't want the confrontation. But if you want something resolved, the only way to resolve that thing is by talking about it. And it takes courage, it takes strength, but somebody has to open their mouth or else it's not going to get resolved and then things dissolve. So that's a big deal.
Yeah. I love that part about things like festering. I think a lot of times in any relationship, sometimes we don't want to reveal all the different aspects of ourselves because we might feel judged, we might feel shame around something, and to really be able to kind of put ourselves out there. And that's where it's kind of, again, it's that walking in faith and going, okay, no matter what happens, Jesus has my back. He's part of the equation that's there to help us. And, it really resonated with me when you said that there's so many times like we just want to be right. And, being right and being in the right path can be totally different things. And so having some of those honest conversations can be really challenging. And so when people are kind of struggling with wanting to reveal themselves, how can they do that kind of in a way where they feel safe, but yet they're putting it out there in a way that they don't want to feel judged?
I think that starts from within, is owning your worth. First of all, we have to know who we are. And if we know who we are, then we can use our voice and be who we are. A lot of times we do. We try to be like somebody else but it's not us. And I think we have to just, again, own our worth. And you're worthy to have a voice. God gave you a voice. yes, we can lean on Jesus, and yes, we can have faith, but you have to still stand up for what you believe, or else you're going to walk under somebody else's shadow. And that's not what God created you to do. He created you to be you. And I speak about that authenticity. I know that word again gets thrown around too, but we're all very different human beings, and we have to be who God created us to be. And I actually talked about this yesterday. I might be going off on a little bit of a tangent, but in a post I did on my LinkedIn, I was talking about I finally stepped into who I am when I really started being me, instead of trying to be like other people, doing things the way they were doing things. I wasn't walking in my own shoes, really, per se. I was trying to walk in other people's shoes that weren't fitting me. So be you, own who you are, and use your voice because
Yeah.
it matters.
So good. So, Kelley, what's one thing people are surprised to learn about you?
I think that I'm more of an introvert. And I'm out there on social media. I'm a speaker. I'm involved in a lot of things, but I love being alone. I'm very happy being in my own space. And people say sometimes you must have 5,000 friends. I have a small circle who I trust. So maybe it's being more of an introvert. I think people tend to think I'm so extroverted.
I love that. What's one of your favorite words to live by?
My favorite words, possibility.
Hmm.
I
Wow,
believe there's always a possibility that lies ahead.
I love it. Mine's a P as well. Mine's provision.
Ooh, I love that too.
There's so many good ones, right? Like you just put yourself behind that. I know that
Yes. Yes.
I know people are really going to want to stay in contact with you, Kelley. How can they best do that?
Well, I'm on social. My platform is LinkedIn. It's just my name, Kelley Tyan, KelleyTyan. Please DM me and let me know how I can help you or pray for you in any way. My website is just my name to find more information of how you can work with me there. I am on Instagram and Facebook, the same, but I'm active more on LinkedIn.
Got it. And what's giving you hope these days?
What's given me hope these days is um, my family. I just love my family so much. They give me so much hope and love and encouragement and support that they're all I need. I feel so blessed.
Oh, so good. I know that you have a devotional and you spend your morning with God. What is one of your favorite scriptures?
Oh, my favorite is Philippians 4:13. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. That's the verse I lean on every day.
So good. I love that. And when you look at your children, what is something that you feel like you've done really well with them?
I think it's just be an example of Jesus. I really try to not throw it at them. I don't try to tell them, oh, you got to do this and God doesn't like this. I really just try to like be a light to them that God loves you for who you are. He made you perfect. Your identity is in him. Never try to be other people. And I just really try to show that through my actions.
So good. What was a moment with one of your clients where it was God speaking through you directly to them?
Oh my gosh. So I pray before I do everything with my clients. And there's lots of times where he speaks directly through me to them. Even just last week, I was on a call with a one-on-one client, and sometimes you just don't have the words, right? But I'm always in prayer, and he gave me the encouragement that I relayed to my client. I always say, I'm just the messenger, and I'm proud to say that. I don't want to take credit for half the things I say. I feel, when I go on a call like today or when I'm podcasting or on radio shows, I really just ask the Lord to please speak through me and move through me for the people that are listening. And whatever comes out, I'm just going to say, that's how it is.
I love that so much. Well, as you know, our theme for this season is intentional living. In what way are you living an intentional life today?
I love that. I'm living intentional by just being intentional in my faith, doing my daily devotional every single morning. I'm very intentional about that. I'm intentional of being a mother to my children. One's 24, one's 17. These days, they need us more than anything. So I'm really intentional about the way I speak to them and intentional about my marriage, of course. I'm very intentional to make sure I just do my part in the marriage because, we can go every day can run into the next. But if we're not intentional about the time we spend with our spouse or our partner, time flies. You can wake up, you can start your week on Monday and then it's Friday. You're like, did I even talk to that person all week? And that's what happens in life. So I think I love that this is all about being intentional right now, because if we don't think about being intentional, we're not going to be. So also one more, I'm very intentional about my workouts. I just hired a coach and a trainer, even though I'm a coach and a trainer, but we all need a coach. It's really important, people. Just because you're a teacher or an expert in something, we all need coaching and people that are a few steps ahead of us to help us get to our finish lines. So I'm being very intentional in my health life right now as well.
It's so good. I love that you mentioned that about a coach. I think we always need to have someone that holds us to the next level, that has us, accountable. I always love the quote by Les Brown that says, "You can't see the big picture when you're in the frame." We all have blind spots. There's also things that are happening there. So I think that's such a great encouragement for people is, you can't do it all alone, right? If you want to do
Yeah.
big things, you need to have big people around you and be able to make that
Amen.
happen. So.
Yes, we do. That is for sure.
So, so good. Well, Kelley, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and being here with us today.
Thank you for having me. I so appreciate you and all that you're doing.
Thank you. And to our listeners out there, this is such a great alignment because, as you know, with Spa Life, the SPA, seek power always. It's about that power within you. It's that God-driven intuition. It's having that faith walk. It's being able to trust in yourself. So, no matter where you're at, if you feel your faith is strong or maybe you're just struggling, share this, get it out there, listen to this again, and just know that each day you get to reset, you get to, choose your walk. And at any point, you please feel free to reach out to myself or Kelley, and we're happy to help you in your walk. And until we connect again, live your spa life. Bye for now. Bye.